Leonardo. I'm from the first year of medical school here from Escola, Paulista de Medicina. And we need to do some questions for you just about the Congress and your relation with the Congress. To start, I want a general point of view about how do you think the things are going through, the organization, the committee, how do you think the things are running?
Well, when I opened my lecture, I started by saying that I had been in many lectures organized by students, by professional associations, and I found this one of the best organized. It was very impressive. The fact that it's all done out of motivation, all done out of enthusiasm and willingness to do the right thing. That was very impressive. It was very impressive, and my opinion is that it's extremely well done. Everything worked very well, from the selection of speakers to the introduction to using English as the main language, using the technical support that has worked very well. I have to congratulate. It's extremely well done.
What do you have to transmit to the congressman? If you have a motivation message, such instruction?
Well, I think that there is very little to add to something that's going well. I think what I saw so far, I can tell you it's going very, very well. One point that could be done slightly different is the participation of the students. I don't know if the students are inhibited due to having some of their teachers, some of the directors of the school, the dean of the university here, or perhaps sometimes is the concern of speaking a foreign language. I felt that there was a limited participation of the students, and hopefully this is going to warm up in the next few days. People will feel more comfortable and will bring their opinions and their interaction up.
Now, a personal question. I want to know if when you started doing your works, if you had something, a special motivation that moved you up to continue with your ideas, if you had something that motivated you with your project.
Well, it's a combination of things. First, I started my first interaction with pharmaceutical companies. I was still in medical school. I was still in Escola Paulista de Medicina. I was back in 1974. I got a job writing papers and taking care of the scientific library for a pharmaceutical company. That's how I got close to it. And how I was motivated and got successful, I think that on the side of a lot of criticism that people have to Brazil and to the crisis, the one that you are living through right now, you think is the worst of all. I have seen throughout the years many crises that people call the worst of all, is that you learn living and working in Brazil to have alternatives. You have a plan of how we are going to get something done, but you think, well, it may not work, then I'm going to go and do slightly different. This is what I'm going to do. And naturally, you are thinking about everything that can go wrong and how you are going to address that. This is a huge advantage when you work in societies that are more structured, because we always have an alternative. And that was helpful for me to be successful and to move up in my career and take roles of larger responsibility. Being in a very diversified environment, how is São Paulo? São Paulo with populations that came from Europe, that came from Asian countries, that came from, you name it, from all the world, helped me to understand cultures around the world. Then I think that the motivational aspect came basically from my training and formation here.
What made you accept coming to Braincoms, do an important keynote lecture right here?
Well, I'm an admirer of Professor Medina. For many years we had research together, we worked together in many different aspects. And some time ago he was in New York addressing an issue. We were having dinner together and we were talking precisely about the relationship between doctors and the pharmaceutical industry. And he said, why don't you consider coming to Braincoms and talking about that? And I think that he gave this suggestion to the organizing committee, and sometime later I received an invitation. And then that was an opportunity to come here to revisit my alma mater, to be in São Paulo, and here I am.
what do you think is the most important characteristic of the current medical students, both for the ones who already graduated and the ones who are still studying?
I agree completely with what I heard earlier. The creative discomfort. I don't remember exactly the wording that was used. In Portuguese, Medina used desassossego. But it's a way of being creative in an unusual situation. I believe that this group works it very well. And I think that's part of the creative energy and the stimuli for the current medical students. Obviously, you face challenges that I didn't have. By the time I graduated, I finished my training. It was finding a good place, opening a practice, and the patients would come. We didn't have the need of jobs, insurance companies. It was very easy for us. The challenge for you is much, much bigger. Well, getting away from the comfortable zone, we had it all structured. You don't. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, in 10 years with health. You really don't know if there may be a government decision to send you when you finish medical school somewhere in a remote area of the country. There may be a decision that you will be forced to work as an employee of the state. You really don't know. For us, it was much more predictable. You will be out of your comfort zone, and you know it now, and you are preparing yourselves to be out of the comfort zone.
In your opinion, do you think that mainly in Brazil, the universities should apply a highlight on the relation between the doctors and in the industry, based on the fact that more and more we are depending, and by consequence we are relying on it, on the industrial production?
Well, I think that not only in Brazil, everywhere in the world, the university is where the intellectual elite, and using elite in the good sense of the qualified people, the people with merit are. I think it's a complete distortion when you have people intellectually better prepared in the industry than in the university. It has to be the other way around. The university must be the place where the thinking process happens and must be the educational place. I do think that the university has to recover its position as the intellectual center of the country. There is a lot of this that comes from the government, but a substantial amount has to come from the people at the university itself. Because you don't need government to give you the grants to make life possible for you. You create the conditions. And I think that that's what you have to retrieve. The university being the intellectual center of the country.
That's the question I had to make to you, and thank you very much.